Today I have Mallory Loone with me, and she's the co-founder of Work Inspired, a people management and development company that has worked with many Fortune 500 companies, both locally and abroad. And her knowledge and expertise is in the people development and have earned her recognition of Malaysia's most talented coach, and also top 100 global training and development coach for the year. Last year, she was recognized as the top 100 LinkedIn icons to follow in Malaysia by Marketing in Asia, and was a 3-time TED speaker. What achievement, Mallory.
Thank you. And nice to have you, and nice for having me here as well. Thank you so much. Nice to meet you, Yassi.
Yeah, nice to meeting you too. And let me greet you as the usual one. Welcome to Fast Track Podcast.
Thank you.
And today we're going to talk about how to find a fulfilling career. That's I think it's the main topic a lot of millennials, young professionals, they are struggling with nowadays. But let's start with your personal story. How did you find your fulfilling career? How did you ended up with your company, Work Inspires?
Yeah, I think I'll backtrack a bit and summarize it a little. It actually started when I was graduating university because I studied, fun fact, I still studied as ACCA. In other words, it's professional accountancy. Okay, I'm from an Asian family. So in Asian culture, we commonly have this thing about doctor, lawyer, engineers, or accountant. I'm not sure if you relate to them. My biology didn't score so well, so forget doctor. I'm horrible at maths, forget engineer. I really hate law, so forget lawyer. I guess I was stuck with accountant. So that's how I started. But along the studies, I realized that I'm not really suitable for the job. I can graduate, but I'm not really suitable for a financial job. And I became very adamant because I grew up in an environment where I hear a lot of people talking about, I hate my boss. They come home from work and they complain about their boss, the company, everything. And that became so tiring to listen to. And because of that, when I was graduating, I was the very stubborn person that says, you know what, Mallory, you're going to get a job that you love. I wanted that. I didn't know it's called culture. I just know I wanted to get a job that I love. So I went for job interviews and I started looking at things that I would see fulfilling. For example, like culture, for example, the boss I'm working with, for example, the engagements that they have, the development programs that they have. And little did I know, I found myself in a position where I like people-related stuff. Everything people-related. In the interview, HR manager actually gave me a very good advice. He told me that, Mallory, I don't think financial is a place for you. I think you should do something people-related. And that conversation, even though it was very painful to hear because I studied 4 years of, at the end, I realized that, okay, I should start the people part, which also ended up how I started in entrepreneurship because I didn't know what I wanted. So how I found my fulfilling career is actually because I lost. I just didn't know what I wanted to do. So I started as a project director for an entrepreneurship platform, which allows me to work in every area, found my strength. And that's how I ended up loving business. So I found my love in growing businesses. Now, Work Inspires came because about 3 years ago, I was building a business with my last business partner. And I've reached a point where I really understood what an unfulfilled business is. So another reality check is that you can be building a business and yet be very stressed out. You can build a business and be mentally, physically exhausted. You can build a business and sacrifice your life in between. So that's also what happened to me about 3-4 years ago when I was building that business. So about my 5th year in, I was reaching the point where I was insomnia. I couldn't sleep well. I was sleeping and dreaming of proposals. Have I submitted this proposal? And I wake up in 3 o'clock and I check my email and I go, oh yes, okay, I submitted. Okay, go to bed. That was my life. I can wake up, I can sleep 7 hours, go to the office, and then lie down on the table and sleep because I was just tired. And that was a reality check for me. So when it came to a point where my business partner and I were moving in different direction, I decided to say to myself, okay, maybe it's time for a change. So I sold my shares, I left the business, and I took a rest before I really tried to find again what's this fulfilling business that I was looking for, or fulfilling life that I was looking for. At that point, I was 27 years old. So it was, as you would know, in Asian, I don't know, it's an Asian thing. We tend to have this, by 30, you need to get married, settle down, buy a house, get a car, everything.
It's universal in Asia.
Okay, it's a universal thing. Okay, it's a universal millennial problem. So when I was reaching 30, I was 27, mental breakdown. I go, am I there yet? Am I failing? What is this? Am I there or am I not there? And when I had to make a middle point in my life, where do I want to start a job or do I want to build a business again? I decided to go back to business because I wanted to build a business that can give people satisfaction. And I want a business that makes myself truly happy. So if you ask me today, Mallory, what makes a fulfilling business or fulfilling career, is one that even though you are going through very difficult days, you find it worth it. So that to me now is fulfilling.
That's a very great sentence. I'm going to mark it. And I want to rewind back a little bit. How did you started a business at such a young age? Because I'm sure a lot of people are still trying to find another job, get a promotion. What make you have this courage to start your own business?
I think, I'm not sure, was it courage or was it stubborn? I'll have to decide a bit about that. So when I was graduating, remember I said I was this project director, I actually took a job. So it was actually a paid job. I had a salary. The only difference is because it's like a new NGO, so I get to write my own job description. I didn't have a boss that controlled me a lot. So Mallory, write your own description, wake up what time you want, sleep what time you want, that kind of lifestyle. So it was really good. I traveled a lot to almost every state in Malaysia and across the world. So I really enjoyed myself. But when the contract ended about 1 year in, that was the turning point where I had to decide whether do I want to get another job or do I want to start a business. At that point, I asked myself, what is the biggest thing I could lose? So at that point, I was at the age of 22, maybe 22. And I was thinking, okay, I'm not married yet, so I don't have any financial, no children, commitment, things like that. I'm quite blessed that my family is doing pretty sufficient. Okay, I wouldn't say doing great, but sufficient. I would still have to do my responsibility as elders of my family. But it was a good opportunity to try and see if this works out. But being an accountant, I'm also very realistic. So I set a benchmark for myself. Mallory, in the next year or so, if you don't get this, then you're gonna get a job. But because I set a deadline, I work really hard to make sure that I get to keep what I want and also build a business that I enjoy.
Also, my respect to you. From age of 22, you managed to build a business and work on it for 5 years. And at that time, after you sold your shares, have you ever thought about taking another high-paying position in a big company, or what's your options at that time?
Yeah, I actually had quite a number of clients that I was working with sent me an email saying that Mallory, we have this vacancy. I actually went for a couple of interviews as well because I was thinking maybe I could get a high paying job instead. And then I realized after going for, I think we went for 5 or 6 interviews across different companies, I realized that I really enjoy strategizing. Okay, I enjoy building things. And when you're actually working for somebody, a lot of things are beyond your control as much as they empower you. But let's take this pandemic, for example. It will be time where there are things beyond your control. And when you have things beyond your control, a good opportunity get passed or something you wanted to drive can't drive through, things of that happen. So after going through 5 to 6 interviews, most of my clients, which are also friends and now clients today again, they told me that, Mallory, maybe it's good that you continue running a business or start a business because I feel you can give more value there. Because when you're an employee, you have to unfortunately abide by certain rules, cultures, politics, things like that. And you need to manage different stakeholders. Change is a bit more harder. But when you're coming in as a consultant, you can actually advocate for proper change. You can actually make real impact across companies. So that's the advice I took. And I'm going to share something personal here that I didn't really share a lot of. When I was really deciding, I was praying really hard and I go, God, please help me to make a good decision. Because at 27, I don't want to be the woman that failed and then, not wondering what to do in life. And I had a very interesting dream. So I dreamt of this lady I've never met who ran a lot of workshops helping startups to grow their business. Okay. She's an Indonesian lady. I've never met her. And halfway through, she was diagnosed with cancer. But until the day she passed away, she was really driving as much impact. And when she passed away, a lot of people carried on her work. And in that dream, I was dreaming that I was going for a cancer marker test. Right? I didn't know the results, so don't ask me. But when I woke up, I had that huge moment in my life that made me wonder, if you are only going to live, you are only going to live this one life, right? What is the best legacy you want to leave behind? And what is the message you want to send out to other people who look up to you? And that was when I decided to start the business again. And I was hoping, because my mom is very worried about me, and she's very caring parents, you know how is it like. So when I woke up and she came into my room at 7 in the morning, and she said, okay, Mallory, you've took a 6 months break now. Have you decided what you want to do in life? And I just looked at her half awake and I go, what do you think if I start another business? And she's like, okay, go for it. To my utmost surprise, because the first business, she was definitely against it. But I was like, oh, it's a sign, I'll take it. And that's how, on the personal side, this happened.
What a very interesting dream. I think I also talked, like interviewed other guests. I think sometimes people came to a moment, like there's awakening moment, you realize like what you really want to do. Recently, I started to think more often, if I'm going to die soon, if I look back, what I have done today in my life, right? What I have done, I worked, I sleep, I work, I sleep, I travel. What else I have done with my life? Then I started to think, I have already lived, like what legacy I have left behind, same as what you have said. And this leads to another concept you talked about earlier to me of this chat, is about Ikigai. Can you tell the audience about what is Ikigai and how did you find your Ikigai, or how the audience can find their Ikigai?
Okay, if you read the whole book of Ikigai, it covers a lot of concept. I'm just going to summarize it that basically, in English terms, if you turn your passion into work and you have fulfillment while also giving back, you're somewhat reach an Ikigai concept. Okay, and I personally, for me, that's a part of. I think Ikigai is something that's always a work in progress with us, because we change. When I first started, I had this idea that I want to be a speaker or trainer, really focusing on that. And then as I run the business more, I got very much as a personal growth. After a while, you became very good at certain things. I mean, as much as you're always growing, you got good at certain things. And you realize that, okay, what's your own next level? So even as entrepreneurs or business owners, or even you're a CEO for that matter, you always need to ask what's your next level of growth. That's why CEO change companies, because you want to ask yourself what's the next level goal. So for me, the Ikigai concept will always change as long as I have an opportunity to keep learning and growing. So when I first started, I just wanted to help young people find their passion. That's the only reason why I started the first business. I wanted to help people like me who was lost in their studies to figure out life. But as I started working with companies, I realized that there's this phrase that really captured my attention. Are you living, or are you merely existing? Are you really alive, living life, or are you just a person living?
Yeah.
Correct. So which one are you? So I really had that when I was working with a lot of companies, especially now, I noticed a lot of that. And a lot of young people, which is quite sad, when they join a company, they're full of life. They go, oh, there's day one of work, take picture, Instagram, TikTok reel, all kinds of things. And then you see 6 months down the road, they look like a zombie. And then 1 year down the road, they're thinking of what's life. 2 years down the road, they say, I want to quit. I want to change job. I'm not sure what I'm doing anymore. And when you ask them, how are you doing? It's so sad when you ask people, how are you doing? The answer should be great or doing this. Some people said surviving. And I'm like, that's not an answer. What is surviving? What is surviving? So now that I'm growing more, I want to always focus on where can I build and add value more. So it could be like what you're doing now, this podcast. And I want to challenge myself more to see what other aspects of companies that can help, rather than just, it's easy to move a person, but it's hard to move a company. So if you can reach the point where you can influence because the work that you do is good, that's fulfillment for me now.
Wow, amazing. And I can so much relate to that. I also interviewed Veronica in my first episode, and she was a banker. And then later on, she became a coach as well, personal development coach or life coach. And also I interviewed like a Faisal. He was also working investment bank, and now he's a life coach. And also so many people that change career to find something else that's more meaningful. So I want to ask you, through your workshops or your works with companies and individuals, what are the most common mistakes people are making if they still feel that they are surviving? What they have done wrong?
I think the one, if I have to put the first mistake you've made, is you got comfortable. Okay, it's like saying that you know there's something wrong, but you don't want to admit there's something wrong. And you use the excuse of, oh, it's the pandemic, it's hard to get a job these days. But I'm already so old, what about life? I should just be focusing on retiring now. But it's such a waste. I've studied this course. Now, if I don't do something similar to what I studied, it's a waste of time. I mean, come on, I studied ACCA and I'm an entrepreneur. Okay, so there are many, all these are excuses. But the only reason why you allow yourself to keep falling into this is because something is off somewhere, but you don't want to seek help about it. And when you don't talk to someone about it, no one can give you guidance. So the key thing in life is, like we said, you don't know what you don't know. So hence why you always have to keep searching, right? You always have to keep learning. And that's why podcasts like this exist as well, so that you can learn. And the only way for you to learn is to first admit that something's wrong and I need help. It's like your denial phase, like saying that I'm a no smoker that I need to quit, or alcoholic that I need to quit. Same concept. So now you are a deprived workaholic, but you're not accepting that. You're just saying that, oh, because I don't have good education, because I don't have good certification, because I didn't get a good grades, or because I'm really in this job so long. You know, I've seen people who in the pandemic change job and they're not saying a superstar student. I myself failed don't know how many papers numerous times before I graduated. Somebody who actually lost my job at my first job because of politics. So I'm not a superstar somewhere. I have a lot of failures in my life. The only difference is I'm willing to say I'm not good and I want to learn. So the first mistake a lot of people make is that. And the second mistake is they don't take time to find who they are. It's like when you know that you ask the classic question, what would you like to eat for lunch or dinner? And everybody answered anything. I don't know. Up to you. You're not even putting effort to think. Dear Tommy, what would you like to eat? No, you're not putting any effort. You're just giving a reflex answer. I don't know anything, up to you. So when I ask you, if you don't like the job that you're in, or you don't like the business you're in, whatever it is, or don't like something in your life, right? What would you like? Most of us can't answer the question because we don't even ask ourselves, who are you? What do you like? What do you don't like? So those two are top two reasons why you're stuck at this circle of misery.
I agree with you so much. And this is one of my favorite sentences you just mentioned. You don't know what you don't know. Actually applies anywhere in any situation. And it also starts with self-awareness, which back to your second point, like people live their daily life, office, go to the office and come back home, watch TV and sleep, and go to the office, come back home, watch TV and sleep. They never really pay attention to their inner voice. They are not self-aware. What do you like? What you don't like? What brings you joy? What brings you fulfillment? They're just so, used to the daily routine. And
Correct.
yeah, I think this is like a key point that once you are more self-aware, you know what you like, you know what you don't like, and then you can take action to change that. And then that's back to your first point, do not get comfortable. And do you have any examples to share with us from your work, from your trainings, that you see the transformation and the people reaching a fulfilling career?
I can share two examples first, and then I'll talk about myself. So one example would be a mentee that I coach. So he is somebody that really loves, like really love, financial freedom, investment related anything. Okay, he's somebody that spends hours and efforts trying to figure out what works. Okay, that's called passion and dedication. Now, when he was graduating, his dad was diagnosed with a certain stroke. So it requires a lot of medication. He's a scholarship student. So he came to me and said, Mallory, I have to give up my dream to start my own investment fund. And I said, why? Because my dad is not well, so I need to take care of my family. Understandable. And I told him, all right, if let's say that's the case, let's say we don't get rid of the dream, we just postpone that dream. What do you need to do today to work towards that dream? And then he came up with a plan and told me that, okay, I need to get a job that pays well so I can save enough money for my dad's medical reasons. Very clear. And then but in that job, besides just pay, the job also need to teach me skills I need to start my investment business. And I said, very good. The third thing is missing. And he said, what? Timeline. You see, when we don't set deadlines for ourselves, the next thing is that 5 years, 10 years gone by and you have not started anything. And by 5 and 10 years, you will probably be married with children. And then you want to ask yourself, it's okay, I should focus on my children's dream. And then that's why the number one reasons or regret that people have is they don't get to fulfill their dreams at their deathbed. So I told him to set a timeline. It's okay. Circumstances can change. You can change your timeline. But most importantly, you set it. And he said, okay, I'll give myself 3 years. 3 years. This year in March, which is 2.5 years after his graduation, he sent me an email saying, Mallory, this is the screenshot of my letter of resignation. I've had enough money to pay for my dad's medical bill. I've gotten the sufficient knowledge and I've started my business. So I'm going to go on it full time after this. I hope you can continue supporting me. And that was 2.5 years. So imagine if, let's say, rewind back to 3 years ago, if that boy decided that, you know what, Mallory, I'm going to give up on the dream and I'm not going to put any effort to it, then he would not even be near to where he is today. The moment you give up, it's 100% no. But if you give, let's try and see, what's the worst that can happen? It's just not going to work out. You have a 50-50 chance. So that's the first example. It's somebody that I think a lot of you can relate, who give up dreams for families, which is very understandable because, of course, we want to make sure we take care of, as a responsible children, we want to take care of our parents. So this is something a lot of you can relate to. And I think something that shows that maybe you don't have to cancel, you just have to postpone. Okay. And the second example would be somebody I know who is at 55 years old. Okay. So this person has been working his whole entire life in the bank, moving from anywhere to where he is today, and he's very successful. And then pandemic happened. And he was given a no separation scheme where you thank you for so much for your service. And when he received, because he's been working for life, the sum he received was quite a lot. Now, this is an example of somebody who doesn't have a dream. You see, a lot of times, right, we have dreams when we're young, but we don't keep our plan or goal or keep asking ourselves what we want when we are growing to retirement. So when he received a huge amount of sum for thank you for your service, he didn't know what to do. And at 55, despite being successful, children went to college, everything sorted, he got into depression with a lot of money because he didn't know what to do. And that point is a lot harder to help somebody to kickstart thinking, it's okay, at 55, you can still dream.
Yeah, midlife crisis.
Literally midlife crisis. So I think 2 lessons to share is that, number one, yes, there are things beyond your control, but dreams or your goals can always be postponed and revisit. Doesn't mean it's cancelled. And number 2, it's never too late to start anything. So don't let age be a factor. But on the other hand, this is also why you should always learn. Like I said, keep looking for what fulfillment is, different stages of your life, so that you won't hit to a point where I do not know what life is anymore, even though you lived 50 years of your life.
And also there's another question I like to ask myself frequently. And also for the audience, maybe let's take a moment, let the audience answer themselves. If money is not a problem, would you still be doing what you're doing now?
I think I'll be doing more of what I'm doing now if money is a problem.
Exactly. And also, do you agree with me that I read it so many places that if you are doing for not for the sake of the money, but for the sake of passion, money will come as a result?
I do completely agree with that sentence. Okay, I'm not saying that money is not important. And everybody say money doesn't buy happiness. I think there's 2 sides of points, okay? Because when you're sick, money do pay the bill.
Yeah.
But if you work without loving your job, that's the reason why you're sick. So it's 2 sides of the same coin, people say. But one thing I would like to share is that a lot of people tend to have this notion that money means evil. Okay, like money is the root of all evil kind of thing. So they always, I don't know why, but I've been taught this statement so many times. If you are successful, bad things come. If you are rich and you don't give back, bad things come. It's like a karma system going on, right? But let me clarify this. Money is not the root of all evil. The people that manage the money is the reason why they're evil. Okay, so money doesn't do anything. Money is just energy. And just because you have passion doesn't mean you cannot have money at the same time. And the one thing to add on to that as well is that you don't need to do every single thing for money. I'll give you an example, right? Like today, I charge my clients. So I do earn money from companies and I get satisfaction from helping companies get the results. I get paid. But I also give back to society through mentoring students for free. I coach for free. I help startups for free. Okay, so I don't mind giving advice and talk to people and share my insights for free as my sense of fulfillment. So with that said, it doesn't mean that, oh, just because you're going to help the world, Mallory, you cannot charge a single cent because there are a lot of people to help. Yes, but if I can't help myself, put the oxygen mask on you first, right?
Money is evil. It's like a misconception. I think it's taught in many families, and we talk so much about money mindset in our fast track money course. I can talk way more here, but I will save our other topics. I want to ask you the one last question. If there's some key message you would like to leave to the audience who are young professionals who are day in, day out in their job, and who is very capable, competitive, looking to achieve more in life, what kind of advice would you give it to them to help them find the fulfilling career?
Yeah, I think I will sum up with 3 areas of what makes a fulfilling career. Okay, one is that you have a sense of belonging where you're in. All right, a lot of times the team, the people that you work with, is the reason why you stay in the organization, because there's a sense of family outside of home. So that's the first area. So wherever you're at now, do you find that? Then the second criteria to look for is, are you growing? A lot of people like to say this, Mallory, I'll leave the job when I'm no longer learning. And I told them, you'll never leave because you'll always learn something every day. But the question is, are you growing, not just learning? So that's the second part. All right. And the third part will be coming back to what gives you the ultimate fulfillment. Some of us will eventually have goals that you want to be coaches. Some of us will eventually have goals that maybe you want to be a mother, staying home, just taking care of your children, or a father staying home, taking care of children, which is perfectly fine as well. So whatever you're at right now, does it meet to that ultimate fulfillment for you of what life is? And it doesn't always have to be success in the world's eyes. Like for me, I just want to travel. This, because to me, God created a very beautiful world for us to explore, and it's so sad if you never get to see it before you die. So I want to spend a lot of time in money travel. So I work very hard right now. So hence why, if for me, a fulfillment career covers these 3 points. If these 3 can be met, that's like your somewhat Ikigai in fulfillment.
Very well said. Thank you so much for being here, Mallory.
Thank you so much for having me, and stay safe, yeah? Take care.